guys, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about numerology. So in the spiritual community, in the conscious community, and in the psychic community, numerology is kind of the little sister of a lot of the different divination techniques. So you have astrology, you have tarot, but numerology is something that is known but oftentimes isn't really talked about. And so I wanted to give you guys a bit of an insight into what numerology is. But first, a little bit about me. I started numerology back when I was in university, so about a decade ago. And I was first introduced to it as this kind of blueprint. It was a way for my science brain to make the spiritual world make sense, right? So numerology is all about numbers. It's about math, but it's very simple math. And so it was a way to connect with the spiritual realm, with the universal realm or God or whatever creator you believe in. It was a way to connect with that, but from an analytical, from a logical, and from a scientific perspective. And so that was why I really gravitated towards it. And so then I started doing numerology for myself. I started doing numerology for my friends. It was one of the first things that I did. As soon as I would meet someone, I'd be like, "Hey, can I see your license?" And it would have their entire name and their date of birth, and then I'd go run their numbers. It sounds a little weird, but I loved the insights that numerology could give so much that was what I did. And so that was how I was introduced to it. And so numerology is the idea that everything in the world can be reduced down to numbers, right? So if you see a date is numbers. If you see a time is numbers. If you look at different images, right? You have the rule of thirds for photography, or you have the Fibonacci sequence, or like the golden spiral for photography or for art as well. And so everything can be broken down into mathematics, into geometry, into its base number components. And so if everything is based on numbers, right, ones and zeros, frequency of music, if everything can be broken down into numbers, then those numbers can then be used as a way to communicate with the universe or with your God, and they can be used to tell a bit of information about who we are and what our purpose is here. And so with numerology, most people use it to figure out what their blueprint of their soul is. So, if you come down onto the physical plane, what is your personality? Your soul would have a personality attached to it. So what is your soul's personality? What are the strengths that you have? What do other people see? How do you react in an emergency? What things do you struggle with, right? And also, what's your life's purpose? So on the personality side of things, that is all derived from your name. So every single letter can be converted into a number. Those numbers can then be added together and then reduced down to between 1 to 9. And that combination of 1 to 9, each one of those numbers has a different flavor attached to it, right? So an example of that would be 1 has a very independent, very masculine, I'm going to go up myself, I'm a go-getter, I am a island. Whereas a 9 is all about altruism and giving of yourself. They're the service people. They're the ones who are the charity people. They're the Mother Teresa's of the world. And so there's different flavors attached to it. And then as you build up your profile, you can have information about what your strengths are. You can have information about what your internal desires are, how other people see you. And so each one of those things is going to then be combined into a profile that is something uniquely you, right? So you're going to have your own set of strengths, desires, and personality that are going to combine together in a way that is you. And by figuring out what your numbers are and how they relate together, that's going to give you some insight. And that's going to show you some places where you can lean into your strengths. And it can help you figure out what some of your motivations are with things. And then your birthday can be broken down into and combined into, again, 1 through 9. And so that combination of numbers into 1 to 9 is going to give you an idea about where you should go in your life, right? Should you be looking towards a life of service? Should you be looking towards a life of duty and responsibility and building something? Or should you be looking towards a life of going with the flow? And so that can also be then combined with that personality number to help you find career paths that might be right for you, or to help you find what years are going to be a good time to start things or to end things. And what that might look like, and what some of your challenges or what some of your stages of life might be. And so that is often what numerology is designed for. You can continue using numerology for other things though. So I have a really good example about a license plate. So I have a very strong relationship with 16/7s. And so that number oftentimes represents hidden issues. So my houses that have all been 16/7s, they all have bathroom and plumbing issues. My friends can attest to it. It's awful. But I also had a bit of a, I'm not going to say the Midas touch, but whatever the problematic version of that would be, with cars. And so, but my license plate was a 16/7. And there was always hidden issues in cars. My cars were always breaking. I have been broken down more than anyone else I know. By the time I got rid of one of my vehicles, it only worked 50% of the time. And I upgraded to about 60% of the time. So that just gives you a bit of an idea about that. And every single one had a 16/7 license plate. But for me, this was funny because one day I came out off of my vehicle and went around my vehicle. I was like, oh, my license plate is gone. And so the person I was dating at the time went, oh, someone probably stole it to go steal from a store, because that's oftentimes what they do, is they'll go steal a license plate and then go steal from a store. And my first thought was, ooh, they chose the wrong license plate for that. They probably are going to end up broken down while they're trying to steal something. Because, one, karmatic, but also two, because they stole a 16/7 license plate. And they're not good license plates to steal because they're going to create hidden issues. So, it's not just for names, can be done for houses, can be done for time, can be done for repeating numbers. Some people see a lot of repeating numbers, 1111, 2222, things like that. And it can also be done for everyday things like phone numbers or license plates, or, done for army numbers or gun numbers or things like that as well. So that's a bit of an intro to numerology, and I hope you guys learned something. Have yourselves a good one.